What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in. It is 1TS Daily right here at One True Sport. How's it going, everybody? Happy Wednesday. It's September 25th, 2024. I'm your host, Zack Heydorn from Brass Ring Media. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for being here on this Wednesday. Big show, as usual, on Wednesdays with AEW Dynamite tonight, but a slew of other stuff to get to in the wacky, crazy world of professional wrestling. If you are watching us live right now on YouTube, thanks so much. We appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. If you're watching on Twitter, hello, and thank you as well for being here. And of course, to our members, to our One True Sport members, if you're catching us with us here as your audio podcast, if you're at the gym, if you're at the grocery store, if you're at work, and you're tuning in here, and thanks for pressing play. Appreciate you. Thanks so much. If you guys are watching live right now and you can do me a favor, hit like on this video. Man, it helps so much with the algorithm and YouTube and making sure that we can get into the rhythm of other potential fans channels and viewership. So please hit like so you can help us out with that. I greatly appreciate it. If you're looking to become a member, you can do that by heading to onetruesport.com, and there you'll find all of our membership options and all of what we do for our members, and it's a lot of stuff. So go there, check out the different tiers that we have, get involved, give us a shot. I think you'll be happy that you did. You get access with every tier to some of the biggest wrestling stars on the planet, including RVD and Kurt Angle and Medusa and Arn Anderson, and just a mix of great hosts as well. So it's onetruesport.com. Check that out. Cool. All right. Let's get into some stuff. Now, I want to start off by saying we did yesterday a full-on preview of the Vince McMahon Netflix documentary. I have not started watching that documentary yet. Probably going to happen this evening or tonight, something to that end. But I will have some words on that tomorrow on the show as I start working my way through it. So far, a lot of what I've seen and heard, frankly, doesn't make me thrilled to watch it, because it does seem like, based on what I've seen and read about it so far, that it has kind of glosses over some key details about a variety of different topics, not just Janelle Grant and not just the lawsuits and not just the allegations, but other stuff too. And it just kind of makes me roll my eyes a bit. But we'll talk about it tomorrow for a little while, and also with my team at Brass Ring Media, which you can become a subscriber to. That's my shop that I run with a really great team. We cover pro wrestling long form. That's kind of our style and our niche in this market. We'll be doing long form reviews of the episodes there as well, beginning tomorrow on YouTube. So head over to Brass Ring Media and subscribe on YouTube. So I wanted to touch on that so you're not wondering, hey, why the heck aren't we talking more about the docuseries? Well, we talked about a ton yesterday, and we will talk about it again tomorrow once people have time to start watching it. I don't want to dive in too soon, because people are still, people have work, people have family, people have lives. I want to give everybody a chance to kind of dig in and at least start the series before we really start talking about it. So we didn't forget today, but just calling that out so you're not wondering what the heck is going on. Real quick, just want to say the live chat is open. Thanks to everybody who is filing in there right now. Also, I've got super chats open as well, if you are willing and able to send in a super chat, whether it's a super chat question or a super chat comment on something that I'm talking about, or your opinion on anything pro wrestling. Definitely put it in there, and definitely we will make sure to put it at the top of the list of what we read and what we get to here on the show from a comment perspective. But let's dive in here. So We're going to talk AEW Grand Slam. We're going to give that a lot of time here near the end of the show. Preview that. It's a big night for AEW. But let's start with yesterday's episode of NXT and run down what happened on that show. So the show opened up. First match of the night, Kalani Jordan versus Ren Sinclair for the Women's North American Championship. We had Kalani Jordan retain. She won with a split-legged moonsault during the commercial break, actually. Kalani Jordan wins and locks that down and retains that championship. They also, throughout the entire show this week, were doing they were showing clips from a press conference ahead of the premiere next week on the CW network. So this was an interesting way to kind of feature the big matches on the show. I mean, Ethan Page had a segment. The women had a segment there. So I thought it was a unique way to kind of present the final build to those matches. A bit of a not unusual, but yeah, I mean, just unique. You don't really see that too much in WWE, especially not at NXT. And this was an interesting way to do that. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory hosted Nathan Frazier and Axiom on an episode of the Grayson Waller Effect. So we had some main roster stars go down to NXT, and that's how that shook out. So exactly what you think that was is what it was. They're building towards Theory and Waller against Nathan Frazier and Axiom. You had Theory and Waller kind of just pummel and beat up the champs after the segment, and as that's kind of the whole point of the segment was to just get there with it. That will be a match that happens on NXT television sooner rather than later. My guess is it will take place, on that second episode of NXT on the CW. That'd be my take on that. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that this is how they're using Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. They're gonna job to Frazier and Axiom in NXT. I mean, that's quite the drop for them and for main roster talent. But I think it just speaks to where they are. I mean, they're definitely role players in WWE right now, and that's not a bad position to be in. You can make a lot of money in WWE, being a role player like that. But they certainly are not focused on act right now, and so. There you have it. All right, the OC versus Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. Walker and Ledger beat the OC. Man, talk about fall from grace. That was, wow. OC not relevant. Lexis King wrestled Ora Mensa, and Ora Mensa picked up the victory. Rich Holland versus Riley Osborne, a battle of former friends inside Chase U. Ridge Holland gets the win there. He beat up Osborne after the match and just laid on the attack thick. Ridge Holland fully a heel now, and that's good, I guess. I don't see it in Ridge Holland. I still don't see it with Ridge Holland, and I guess a heel is a better spot for him to be than the kind of babyface that he was. But nonetheless, he's not somebody that seems all that threatening to me at this point in time. And they've got a long way to go if they're going to repair that. And repair that presence with him. Rosemary from TNA and Wendy Chu took on Carmen Petrovich and Brinley Reese. We had Rosemary and Wendy Chu win that match. I'm interested to see where the pairing goes. And Andrew, thanks so much for your question in the chat. I got it. I'm looking forward to answering that. I'm going to run through the results here and then talk about your question. Rosemary and Wendy Chu as a tag team, I think is an interesting move. I think it's a kind of a good fit for Wendy Chu and Rosemary. And it's also just interesting because you have a tag team that's crossing companies. Yes, it's at a very, very low level, but I still think fundamentally it's I don't know. I think it's a pretty interesting move for both companies to kind of pair up their lower card stars in the women's division like that. So we'll see what comes of it. Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander wrestled A-Town Down Under, and you had A-Town Down Under get the win. So there you go. That all but solidifies them as next in line for a NXT Tag Team title match against Axiom and Nathan Frazier. So that's coming. And if you didn't know it by their interaction earlier in the night, you knew it definitely here by the end. And then finally, they did Roxanne Perez and Julia face-to-face in a press conference. That went about as you think it would go, except for the fact that Stephanie Vaquer interrupts both women on a Titantron and says that the winner of the match next week and the NXT Women's Champion is on notice. So you have Stephanie Vaquer now in the mix in NXT, and that women's division all of a sudden just gets restocked with two top talents in Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. I think by having Vaquer come in and having Julia there, you may see Roxanne Perez get bumped up to the main roster. I think they want to keep her in NXT long enough to they want to keep her there long enough to help solidify Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. So I think they're going to have those matches. You may even see like a triple threat with the three of them at some point. All that's good, but I think the idea here is let's make sure that we have Vaquer and Julia solidified, and then Roxanne Perez can go ahead and move up to the main roster. And they need it. They need stars on the main roster. I think they need babyface stars, but heel Roxanne Perez could work too. Rhea Ripley's going to need somebody to work with as a babyface. I don't know about the optics of that, but Roxanne Perez certainly is a good enough worker to make all that happen. So we'll see. But long story short, the NXT Women's Division is stocked right now, and it should be a fun run here. As we get into kind of their spot on the CW network, which starts next week on Tuesday. We will preview that whole show on Tuesday morning next week. So don't miss it. 11 Eastern right here, 1 TS Daily. Let's get to the live chat on NXT, and then we will jump in and preview. We will preview tonight's episode of AEW Grand Slam. First of all, Amy is there. It says, good morning. What's up, Amy? Always good to see you here in the chat. Glad you're able to catch us live. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Once again, guys, if you're listening live to this video and you're catching the show, we're live here every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, okay? 11 Eastern. Talking the news of the day in wrestling, reviewing shows, previewing shows, getting you ready for the day in pro wrestling. So make it a part of your day. Be here if you can, 11 Eastern. Put that little time block on your calendar at the day job so you can check out the show. The more the merrier. And love having you guys join live and chat in the live chat. So appreciate you guys. Jordan is in there and says, you're great at recaps, bro. Hey, thanks. Thank you. Appreciate that. Part of the job to get you guys what you need. And so I appreciate that. I really do. I try to take copious notes during these shows and then make sure that I know what are the big talking points so that you guys are up to speed. And so it means a lot. Thanks so much, Jordan. Hopefully you check out our stuff at Brass Ring Media too. I think if you like this, you'll really like that. Hassan says, is also here in live chat, says, hi there. Good morning. Good morning, Hassan. Thanks for being here. All right, let's get to Andrew's question, because I think it's a really unique one and a good one, especially with what's going on kind of just in the wrestling ecosystem in terms of how much is out there to watch. Andrew says here, I haven't watched NXT regularly since Vince and Bruce took ivermectin years ago. Oh, man, that's great. Great comment. With all the content available, is NXT something I should prioritize? This is a great question. The only way I can put this, the only way I can answer this truthfully is that I do. And yes, Hassan, we will be previewing Dynamite Grand Slam here in about 2 minutes. So stay with us. So the only way I can answer this question, Andrew, is I do prioritize it. It is on my watch list every single week. I like, watching some of the up and coming talent. That's the first thing for me. And so that's why I watch the show. But I also have to just caution that it is a show of hits, some really strong hits, and it is a show of very, very bad misses. Like, and everything in between. Like, it is like a developmental show more than it's ever been, to me. You've got talent that Shawn Michaels will put out there to see what they have, and they may not have anything, and then you don't see them again for a while, and you're sitting there to yourself, and you're saying to yourself, "Oh man, that was a really bad match." And yeah, you're going to get that. You're going to get bad, weird backstage vignettes, that are like goofy and silly, and they sometimes don't land. But they're trying stuff, and I like that. I like just kind of soaking all that in. At the same time, there's a lot of hits too. There's some really good stuff that they do. The buildup of Trick Williams has been really fun to watch. Obafemi is a top guy in the making, I think, in that company because of the run he's had in NXT. Obviously, we just talked about the women's division. Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, Roxanne Perez. She's had her hits and misses too as a heel, but it's been fun to watch her navigate those waters. So, if that's interesting to you, I definitely would prioritize it because I think, it's a fun watch, not because it's necessarily the best wrestling show on, but it's different than every other wrestling show on as well. And so I appreciate that. So hopefully that answers your question. What I would prioritize for sure is the PLEs. The NXT PLEs habitually have been pretty good for about the last year. You get a show full of young talent, and you get a show full of young talent that are ready to work. And, 9 times out of 10, they work very hard on those PLEs to deliver. And it makes for a good little show. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. Hassan asks here, do I like video games? I do. Actually, about 3 days ago, I just finished playing the new Legend of Zelda game on Switch, the Tears of the Kingdom. So I don't get to play much. 2 kids steals your time, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But I don't get to play as much as I'd like. So I need to find a new game now to play now that one's over. I was thinking about checking out that Mario Wonder game, but Hassan, which one is it? Is it Hassan or Hassan? Let me know in the live chat. But either way, do you have anything to recommend on Switch? I'd love to hear it. There you go. Okay. Thank you. Let's move on and preview tonight's episode of AEW Grand Slam. It is inside Arthur Ashe Stadium, one of the biggest, not one of the biggest, but one of the biggest shows conceptually that AEW does on Wednesday nights on their calendar year. And this is how the card is shaping out. AEW World Champion Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness. That's a non-title match. Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin. The winner gets a shot at the AEW World Championship. The Young Bucks are going to wrestle Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher for the AEW Tag Team titles. Mariah May versus Yuka Sakazaki for the AEW Women's Championship. Hook is going to face Roderick Strong for the FTW title, and Prince Nana will be on hand live to give an update on the status of Swerve Strickland. So the big story of this show is obviously Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness. And I guess technically, even as we sit here right now, we don't know whether or not that match is actually going to happen. I just have not liked this build. I mean, I really, really have not liked this build. I think the build to this has been just mismanaged, all over the place, confusing, lacked detail. So, I can't with a straight face, give this a thumbs up in terms of, did the AEW do all they can to make this match seem as big as it should? And they didn't. I also question like the not credibility of Nigel McGuinness as a wrestler, but the credibility of him as a star that should be in this kind of spotlight in 2024. I mean, Nigel McGuinness just hasn't been a thing for so long in wrestling. And as much as this match is a play on nostalgia of a match that happened in a series of matches that happened 15 years ago, I don't know the value that he brings to the table right now. So I need to like preface everything I'm about to say with that, because that's important. But now that I've said that, I'm looking forward to the match. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. They're both very different people from the match that they had, whatever, 15, 20 years ago. They're both, way more injured than they were then. And I'm just curious, basically, to see what kind of match Bryan Danielson can get out of Nigel McGuinness at this point in Nigel's career. And that's going to be really, really fun to watch. It really will be. And so, as much as I am against the build here, and like, I guess against the whole idea in general of doing this match on such a big stage like this, now that it's there and now that it's happening, kick back. I mean, I'll be kicking back with the rest of you guys and just watching it and seeing what we get. I fully expect Danielson to win this match, no question about it. But the question will be, how does Nigel look? How does the match go? And what kind of finish do they have? I don't think they need to try to protect Nigel, but we'll see. We'll see what they do. The other obviously key match here is Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley. I'm expecting quite a bit of violence in this. And I hope that we get some kind of like interaction between Bryan Danielson and Moxley. Like, remember, Jon Moxley, the last time we saw Bryan Danielson, almost murdered him by suffocating him with a plastic bag. Like, they've got to like continue that story tonight. Like, you can't have Bryan Danielson be on that show with Moxley and just totally forget that it happened. You got to pay that off. It's too big of an angle to have your world champion just run around and do his thing and not address such a big happening when he's right there on the show. So I hope that they, integrate these storylines now that you're doing the match with Darby. You've got Danielson there. You got to tell that story. This is part of booking. It's a part of storytelling. You've got to connect some dots, and Danielson has to look like a fighter. He's got to look like somebody who's just really angry and mad and wants to just get his revenge on Moxley. Like, that's how this works. And I'm a little worried that there's no avenue to that tonight, given the fact that Danielson's involved in something completely different. But of course, there's backstage and there's run-ins and there's a lot of different things they can do, but they have to address, and even if it's a short chapter, they have to add a chapter to the Moxley-Danielson thing tonight on the show. I think it's going to be a heck of a match, though, Moxley versus Darby. Young Bucks against Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. I think you're looking at a match of the night contender there. I mean, I say a lot about the Young Bucks. I do. I don't think they're utilized well. I don't think they come across that they care enough. But when you put them in the ring, there's no denying what they bring from an in-ring perspective. And with Will Ospreay on the other side and Kyle Fletcher on the other side, I mean, this is going to be an action-packed match with big spots and fast spots and a lot of pace. Poor Fletcher. Poor Fletcher's going to do the old job here. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So the Young Bucks are going to retain, but it is I think it will be a very, very, very good match. Mariah May versus Yuka Sakazaki, same thing. That's more of a get Mariah May, get the women's championship on the card. I think you're looking at May retaining there pretty easily. Hook versus Roderick Strong. I've long maintained that that this is a good match for Hook to have. He's going to win definitively, but Roderick Strong's a good worker. And character aside, personality aside, he can work matches with the best of them. And so I think Hook can learn a lot from working with Roderick Strong. We'll see what kind of match he's able to have. I mean, the challenge with Hook right now is, what can he do in the ring? Can he do more and more and more each time he gets out there? And this will be a really good test for him to see what's what, and to see kind of where he's at. And then Prince Nana and Swerve. I mean, I'm just interested to see where they go with it. I think this will be telling for what Swerve's going to do next. Like, does he get interrupted by somebody tonight? Is Adam Page back in the picture? I hope not. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I just, Swerve is a top guy in the company, and so he has to have something prominent to do. There's no clear path to that at this point. I look at MJF as somebody that they could just put into a feud with Swerve Strickland right now and get 2-3 matches out of that. That makes sense to me. MJF's a top heel who doesn't really have an opponent to work with. Swerve Strickland's a top babyface without an opponent to work with. So it seems to me that those guys are like made for each other right now. So I would not be surprised if we get some kind of inkling or hint that match is going to be on the docket next for both of them. Let's see. Jordan in here in the chat says, I am over the Young Bucks. Yes, you are not the only one. You're not the only one, Jordan. No question about it. So okay. Tomorrow, we'll review the whole show. We'll review the whole show right here, 1TS Daily. We will break it down, break down all the angles, talk about the big matches. If you follow me on social media at Zack_Heydorn right there, you can check out my live thoughts as the show goes on tonight during AEW Grand Slam. Cool. Also, again, if you're watching this on YouTube or Twitter and you don't mind, hit like on the video. It helps us out so much, you guys. You don't understand how much. You'd think that like something so small like wouldn't help so much, but it does. It very much does. So hit like if you can, if you're willing to. Certainly would appreciate it. If you want to check out more of my work, head over to Brass Ring Media right now. That's our shop. We've been going strong. Our niche here is long form coverage of professional wrestling. That's what we do. We've got a free platform on YouTube, our YouTube channel, which is where all of our live shows live. We're live every single day of the week. I'll be on the air over there today, 3 Eastern, with our Spotlight show. So you can check that out. And you can also get all of our live shows as podcasts for free. So just subscribe to Brass Ring Media on your favorite podcast app, and we will be there. We also have a Substack newsletter where all of our written content goes. And we've got editorials and features, reviews, and so much more from me and the team, all there. Brass Ring Media on Substack, totally free, and you can subscribe there. Also, guys, I don't mention this very much, and I should mention it more. I wrote a book this year. It's called Stunning: The Wrestling Artistry of Steve Austin. It is a in-depth, kind of in-ring biography of Steve Austin. I take a look at his entire career, start to finish, from 1989 to his last match against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38, and analyze in depth, like the art of his work, the art of his matches, the art of his promos. I love doing the project. I hope you guys all have a copy and grab a copy. You can get it on Amazon right now. Jonathan Snowden, the guy who did the Ken Shamrock biography, as well as some other MMA books, was the mentor on the project. Wade Keller wrote the foreword. And I hope you guys check it out. It's up on Amazon right now. You can get a paperback copy. You can get a digital copy. It's there for you. Hopefully you get it. It's called Stunning: The Wrestling Artistry of Steve Austin. Cool. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. Lots to get to tomorrow. So be here, 11 Eastern. This is 1TS Daily. I'm Zack Heydorn for One True Sport. Have a great Wednesday. We'll talk to you all really, really soon. See ya.